where they've got all the painted ghost guys, and they're like, "Who are you?" And then he just walks up and beats the crap out of him, and then goes, "I'm vengeance." Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Noah.
And I'm Richard.
And today, we're actually on top of things.
That might
Kind
be a
of.
first for this series.
First, relevant recording time for this topic.
We decided we wanted to cover Robert Pattinson's entry into the Batman series.
Yes, and directed by Matt Reeves.
Okay.
And I don't even know how to start this video. This movie was so turbulent in its creation and its release. Like, at first, this was supposed to be a Ben Affleck Batman movie that he was writing and directing. Yeah. And then it changed hands to Matt Reeves, the Batman, starring Ben Affleck. And then it became Matt Reeves, the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson. And then it was supposed to be released in like 2019 or 2020 and then 2021. And then it finally dropped March 4th, 2022. And I saw it opening day, actually.
And so what did you think? Because I think that my reaction to this movie will probably surprise you and most people. We've only talked about it a tiny bit.
We've only talked about it a tiny bit. Hold on. I just need to get that little bit of caffeine in me.
Okay.
Messily. But, okay. So, I'm not a Batman fan. Like, pretty much not at all a Batman fan. I've grown distant from the character for a multitude of reasons, which I'll probably get into later, but Batman had lost its impact on me until Ben Affleck's Batman, ironically, because he wasn't in good movies, but the character itself was actually a lot more interesting than other iterations of Batman we had seen in the comics and the TV shows in the movies. So when this was being announced, I saw another Batman cash grab, another reboot, Warner Brothers going, come on, this symbol, this right here, it sells tickets, it gets butts in seats. So I was like, they're really going to redo this again? They're going to give us another Batman? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
There's a glare. I think I'm catching the glare off of my glasses.
Oh.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. The, that's how it appeared. And then the trailers hit, and it looked interesting. And then I started to see the direction they were taking this with the Riddler. And I'll be honest, despite the fact that I don't really enjoy the Batman character, his villains are fantastic, and I love them. And I really wanted to see a Riddler done well on screen. And this movie did that. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's groundbreakingly fantastic. I don't think it's mega blockbuster. I think it is an enjoyable, fun, cool ride with some great acting and a story that's a little a little bit of this, a little bit of this. There's some good points. There's some meh points. Overall, it's a good movie. It was a good movie. It was enjoyable. And I mean, that's pretty much my reaction to it. So, surprise me.
Well, I didn't want to go see this movie. I had no interest in this movie at all. From the very beginning. First of all, now that you mention it, I do remember that Ben Affleck was supposed to be in a couple more Batman movies, and I'm not a Ben Affleck fan. I haven't, and I couldn't see him as Batman. Now, having said that, and I have not seen any of his performances, you showed me a clip of the fight sequence, or a fight sequence, I should say, from one of his movies. And that fight sequence changed my mind. That whole throwing the crate through the guy's head on the wall just said, okay, here's a Batman I might be able to get into.
Unfortunately, the rest of the movie is...
Okay, but,
like the story is,
right. So, but I really wasn't interested in seeing it. And then the early press on the movie was that there were problems on set. Mm-hmm. And the big thing that I kept seeing, and of course you never know whether these are legitimate stories that are fact-checked or whether it's just rumor to get hits on a website. Because nowadays journalism seems to be less about factual reporting and more about how quickly can we get as many hits on a website as possible and sell advertising that way. But it all said problems on set. And the one thing that I heard or read rather repeatedly was that Pattinson and the director were at odds and were fighting. Mm-hmm. Usually that means we're getting a bad movie. The only thing that makes it worse is if you've got a couple of director changes in midstream. Then it's guaranteed it's not worth going.
Rogue One. Except that one was actually fun.
Yeah. So I had no interest in seeing it. Then your brother came to me and he said, "Hey, I want to go see this movie. Would you like to go see it?" And I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to hang out with one of my kids. And so I wanted to spend time with them. And I said, "Okay, we'll go to the movie." This movie owned me from the opening bars of music. Absolutely owned me. And I'm sitting in the theater thinking, holy smokes, did they do what it looks like they're doing? And they take the Ave Maria and they juxtapose it against Gotham City and Batman. And I was kind of laughing because your brother didn't really catch the significance of it. And I don't know how much you did because you weren't raised Catholic. And so you don't know the significance of the Ave Maria in the Catholic Church. It's the Hail Mary. It's the prayer to the Mother of Jesus. And if you know it and you know that Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. You take that concept and you put it against Batman and you lead with it. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is incredible. The gritty, sin-filled, sinful Gotham City. It's brilliant and it's gutsy and it's wonderful. And then they take this song that is the power of music in movies. They take this song that is like one of the signature pieces for opera singers. You want to prove your grit in the world of opera, you sing the Ave Maria, and all of the big singers have done it. And And in fact, I mentioned it to your grandmother, and the first question she had was, "Which version?" Okay, that's what you want. That's what she wanted to know. And so I'm looking at this, and I'm just thinking, this is incredible. And so it owned me. And then at certain points in the movie, as the music changes, and they've got different segments for different parts of the movie, you would just get these themes of Ave Maria slipped in, and they just kind of they slip in and they slip out again, and I absolutely loved it. I truly did.
Okay.
So, what was I expecting from the trailers for the Batman? Did nothing to sell me on it. And in fact, the trailers to the movie made me not want to watch it, because you get a couple of shots of Pattinson, and the hair is long and it's framing his face, and he's kind of looking down a little bit, and I'm thinking, oh crap, we're getting Severus Snape in Gotham City. like I don't want to see that. That's really what I thought it was going to be. I could not have been more wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So about 6 months ago, I read an article about Pattinson's career. And after, he had his splash in the Harry Potter movie, and then he had the Twilight series.
Yes.
But apparently he went and started making a series of indie movies and really honing his craft.
Yeah.
And there was a movie with Willem Dafoe that he filmed called The Lighthouse. I did not see the whole movie, but I watched
watched the scenes of it.
It's fantastic. And
some of that acting is so intense.
Yes. And so I started thinking, okay, there's more to this guy than meets the eye, so let's give him a fair chance. And then I really liked his Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
I liked.
Oh yes.
So first of all, no origin story.
Thank God.
Love that.
I was about to chuck my friend's metal Batman popcorn tin at the screen within the first 2 minutes of this movie because they showed a kid in a red ninja suit with parents on Halloween night, and I was about to be like, you better not do this to me. And then I realized, oh, that's a Robin reference.
Right.
Okay. We're good. We're good.
So the I did not want another origin movie. This one has Batman early in his career.
It has nothing. There's no pearls. There's no gun. There's no alleyway.
But there's something that they did in this movie that I really like that they haven't done in any of the other movies. They made Thomas Wayne very human.
Yes.
They made the Wayne family human. Like I never knew that Martha had issues with sanity. I don't
know, and this is where you can't lean on me for this one because I haven't read Batman comics in years, and I've stayed away from reading synopsis online because I never cared. So
gotcha.
I don't know how much of this was created for the film,
right,
and how much of this was drawn upon source material.
Well, but
either way.
So apparently Martha's maiden name was Arkham. Her family set up the Arkham Asylum.
Apparently,
right? Okay.
Yep.
And so, but if she's got issues with sanity and in reality, it just humanizes the Wayne family. If spoiler alert. Bruce Wayne rubbed elbows with not Bruce. I keep saying Bruce. Thomas Wayne rubbed elbows with the underworld. Mm-hmm. Whether his motivations were pure or not, whether he felt guilty or not, whether he wanted to go report him to the police or not. Right. I'm trying not to give too much away if you haven't seen it. We'll
go spoiler heavy later. We'll tell you where to skip to avoid the heavy spoilers.
He was very human.
Yes.
He screwed up.
Yes.
He was, one of the problems with the Wayne family in previous iterations is they're squeaky clean.
Yes.
You can't get squeakier clean than the Batman television series from the from the 60s.
Oh yeah.
They've been such pure, motivated, people.
The closest thing you got was, ironically, the Joker movie, where he wasn't even really as much of a. They were like super dirty. It was just Thomas Wayne was kind of an ass in Joker. In Joker, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
That was the closest thing we had gotten to seeing the dark side of the Waynes. And really, it just boiled down to Thomas Wayne's a bit of an ass.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Ultimately.
It's like, great characterization.
But, that movie, we might have to spend time talking about that movie because that movie is like, here's the Batman franchise of all the movies, and then here's the Joker movie. It's just
it's an outlier.
It is. It's a far outlier. Good movie, yeah. But we can get into that later. Anyway, so we have this very human Wayne family, and we've got Bruce with financial problems.
Yes.
And then one of the things that I liked, this was not gadget heavy. This was not gadget intense. This was not Bruce Wayne with.
This isn't James Bond in a bat suit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is fun. Like the Michael Keaton version is fun.
Yes.
The Christian Bale version, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to see the flip side.
It's nice to see gritty realism, and I think
Yes.
that's what this movie had that I really liked. It was gritty realism. And the fight sequences were real good fight sequences. They were very, very realistic fight sequences.
Yes.
There's no batarang. There was no, Joker taking down a plane with the ridiculous
okay, but
long
that's
gun.
such a great scene. I love that.
It is.
It's great for that movie.
It's great for that movie, but this one was just different. I really liked it.
I did too.
Okay, and so unlike most of the things that we talk about, where I have a chance to watch and watch and take notes and all that, I saw this movie once a week ago.
And we're doing this all on memory.
And doing this all on memory, there were really no points in the movie where I said I don't like this, but probably the thing that caught me the most, I like Jeffrey Wright as an actor. I don't always like his off-screen comments and his politics. It's very difficult for me sometimes, unless the acting is fantastic. It's very difficult for me to separate the actor from their off-screen life if they're really in the press.
Yes.
I really like it when actors act and go home.
Yes.
They've got the right to do what they want, but they start getting too involved, and then I start losing interest.
Yeah. The more of a presence you have off screen, and this is just I think a great way to sum this up. I go to movies for entertainment.
Right.
And the more you're appearing in the press and the more you're making a splash, this is why I don't follow actors on social media. I don't follow celebrities on social media.
Wise choice.
Because I don't want to go see their product and think of something, whether I agree with the cause or not. I go to movies to escape reality for a little bit. I don't want to be reminded of it by seeing you. So if your performance isn't good enough, like you were saying,
right,
you're going to have that already set against you. You're going to have to outperform my, I guess, bias.
Yes.
Especially if I agree with you, because then it's something I care about.
Right.
Like, really care about. And it's like, I don't want to think about this right now.
Exactly. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Wright has a voice that falls into the James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman category. So when he narrated What If on Disney, you just get lost in the depth and the richness of his voice. It is so good.
Oh yeah.
So he walks on screen, and I thought, is that? And I'm like, and then you realize that it is, and then suddenly the performance just sucked me in. I was able to let go of everything and just enjoy it. And here's the thing that I thought was interesting. Christian Bale's Jim Gordon, the actor's slipping my name.
Sirius Black. Who played Sirius Black? I can't remember his name.
Anyway, those characters were so close.
Yes.
It was like they just did a color change and
I mean,
I don't mean that the wrong.
Literally,
they were so close.
It was so similar, and that means that the character of Jim Gordon is consistent, and that they are capturing it correctly.
Right.
And you know what this does? You know what that specific point of the movie does?
Right.
Okay? It proves what you said in our Book of Boba Fett episode about recasting actors. All you need to do,
just recast them.
It's not even someone who looks like the other Jim Gordons.
No, not at all. Right.
Because he walks on screen, he's got the mustache, he's got the glasses, people say Detective Gordon.
Right.
And that's it.
And then
you're like, oh, it's Jim Gordon. And then you let it go.
Exactly.
You let it go.
And
it proves your point.
I thoroughly enjoyed the performance.
Oh, so good.
Okay, so
so much fun.
There were the movie was too long for me. It was too long for me by probably 45 minutes. I really started getting antsy.
The climax dragged on for a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
Too long.
And then the big question mark on this whole thing for me was, who is the Riddler? And they did a beautiful job of keeping that under wraps until we finally meet the Riddler, and it wasn't Frank Gorshin from the television series. It wasn't Jim Carrey from the movies when they were still doing the over the top stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This Riddler was creepy. And and that was the other thing that I forgot to mention about the music. They took a gorgeous piece of music and they brought it right to the edge of making it creepy. Mm-hmm. And that was was really an interesting take on that. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed. I have no idea the actor's name who played the Riddler. And I don't want to know. I just love this character.
Because he did such a good job.
Exactly.
It's so good.
Just want to enjoy the character and see how does he break out? How does he come back? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. This movie was very much a detective movie. Yes. And it wasn't this gadget action heavy movie. It was so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. I hope we've not given too much away because I think if you haven't seen the Batman, you should go
watch the Batman.
Yeah. And get the large popcorn because you're going to need it. It's a 3-hour movie. Pretty close to that.
2 hour and like 46, 48 minute movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long movie.
It's a bit long.
Go ahead.
Well, when we were talking about this just a tiny bit last week when we were on set, you made reference to the fact that you don't get the really a deep motivation behind the Riddler's actions. I mean, he's warped and he had some messed up type of childhood.
Yeah, you get enough that you can understand what would drive him, but not enough to make him super sympathetic where you start to question whether you're going to justify his actions or not, and that's the mark of a good. There's different types of villains out there. There are sympathetic villains.
Yep.
There are villains you love to hate, and there are villains that you just love. Okay?
Yes.
Like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Just love him. He's just
You
fun.
just love him.
Yeah.
You just love him. It's a good performance. You didn't need a backstory because they don't give him anything. They give him like no motivation.
Oh no!
He keeps switching up
3 or 4 different motivations.
Exactly.
And you don't know which
one is true. And that's what makes it. And that's what makes it good. In this case, with the Riddler, you get just enough backstory,
right,
to understand how someone could become this, and then they let his actions take over, and you love to hate him because of the things he's doing.
Well, I didn't even get to that point. It was just kind of like it was creepy and on the edge, and that Batman's going to solve the central dilemma eventually.
Yeah.
But how?
Yeah.
And how many people are going to die before he gets to that?
Exactly.
It was that Othello-Iago relationship. There's someone who's trying to destroy Gotham City and all the people in Gotham City, and you don't really truly get you don't get the motivation like you get with Thanos.
Yeah.
Right, Thanos.
That was needed.
Who
was really needed.
You're almost in agreement with him by the time he ends up, right? But you don't get this.
Recently, we have had such a slew of movies that are taking their time and telling their villains and making their villains better.
Yes.
I feel like they are really honing in on that and making that better. It's so refreshing to see.
So yeah, I liked it.
I like this movie too.
I like
So I'm gonna rewind a bit.
Okay, go ahead.
The action in this movie was hit or miss.
Okay.
Literally and figuratively, hit or miss.
What did you notice that I didn't?
There are several points in the fight scenes where the action is clunkier. There's a couple obvious misses when they're punching, obvious passes.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we know.
Industry secrets. This is called an at.
Okay.
Okay. I punch directly at you. You react to it.
Okay.
Okay. Depending on the camera angle, that masks better. And then there's passes where I go past your face and I have more clearance, and
Right.
and you need a better camera angle to hide it. There's a couple sequences, particularly in the nightclub, where there are a couple very obvious passes. And it is very obvious that the stuntmen are accommodating for the fight scene
Okay.
are accommodating. But the opening fight scene is hands down the best in the movie, where they've got all the painted ghost guys, and they're like, "Who are you?" And then he just walks up and beats the crap out of him, and then goes, "I'm vengeance."
Okay, something about this about stunt fighting in general that I kind of don't understand. So Sir Roger Moore, one of his claims to fame in all of his Bond movies was that he never hit a stuntman. Apparently, he was a very good fighting actor, and he took pride in that. Okay, good. And I think that's where I started to learn, that people weren't really getting hit. I was watching those movies. I think Harrison Ford, was pretty good at it, and I've never read anything about him whipping anybody, and he became very good with the bullwhip for Indiana Jones. But since we got into karate, and when we test and we have to show control where we're throwing a punch and we are stopping within an inch of someone's face and throwing it with power, you realize that it takes a tremendous amount of work to do that. So I can get why a stuntman wouldn't want to go that close with an actor who's not trained, because it's taken us years to learn how to do that. At the same time, about 2 or 3 days ago, your brother punched me in the mouth. And he punched me in the mouth, and the first words out of his mouth were, "You leaned into that." And I thought about it for a moment, and I said, "Yeah, you're right, I did." He didn't make contact because he did something wrong. I leaned into the punch, and I shouldn't have. And it wasn't that hard. It didn't do any damage or anything. But we have all of these. You've got your you've got your pass, and I just think, can we close this gap? Can we close the gap? And you're saying no, because I'm thinking if we could close the gap, it would be a whole lot better looking.
There's a big difference between doing martial arts that close and moving from one move to the next move to the next move to the next move, and doing a 15 to 20 beat fight.
Okay.
8 to 12 hours a day.
Okay.
Your adrenaline will kick in eventually. You'll get sloppy or you'll make mistakes. So you accommodate for that by making the fight scene, making the passes and the ats, a certain distance. Because once you get that muscle memory, once you start to slip, you've got a bit of a buffer zone.
Gotcha.
And plus, cameras can hide so much.
Sure. But clearly not enough for you in the beginning of this movie.
I'm looking for this.
Yeah, you're probably looking for mistakes, too.
Oh, I noticed mistakes. I noticed mistakes. It's whatever. But no, the action in this was fantastic for the most part. The chase scene.
Yep.
Although it has the stupidest ending. I found that hilarious. Okay. Spoiler territory. So at the end of the chase scene, when the penguin's upside down in the car, and you see Pattinson get out of the Batmobile and stride towards him, and you've got the fireball in the background, that would have been the perfect ending. But instead, you end it on this really goofy, like upside down. His feet are here, his head's bending over, and he's just looking at Penguin with that Pattinson's look. He had a look that he would do the side eye.
Right.
Under the cowl with the heavy makeup. And it's just upside down, and it just went goofy.
So, Pattinson is probably the best looking in the cowl of all the Batmen, all the actors who've played it.
I would agree.
And I think that this portion of his face is, you couldn't tell that that's him if you... So, from taking it off to putting it on. I really like the fact that he was probably the most believable.
Yes.
In terms of that.
His facial acting
is fantastic.
Is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
He looks tired. He looks exhausted. He looks like he is fighting through like running on fumes.
adrenaline.
Yeah. And it's so good. But he's still smart. Like half the riddles that come his way, he like can find the answer to immediately. And that's why I enjoyed this so much, because it was more of the detective movie than it was an action hero movie. And that's what made it so much fun. It's like, okay, you have a character who's supposed to be one of the best detectives in the world, and now we finally have a movie that shows us that he is one of the best detectives in the world, instead of expecting you to just buy that and using it as an excuse for him to have all the answers.
Right. So the Penguin, let's talk about him for just a little bit. So the Penguin walks on screen, and you don't have Burgess Meredith, and you don't have Danny DeVito.
Nope.
Right?
As entertaining as that was.
As it was, but you know, I'm wondering, did they say how he got the nickname the Penguin?
I don't know.
So this actor comes on screen.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I'm like, who the hell's this guy? I'm like, wow, I've never seen this guy before. It's like new actor. I love So a couple days later, I'm like on Instagram or TikTok or something, and I see this interview with Colin Farrell, and he's talking about the Penguin, and I went, no way! You're right. And
I had no idea until the credits.
Right, and then he in a separate interview, I heard him talk about walking on set in makeup the first time, and people absolutely not recognizing him, and you know, like someone tried to get him removed from the set because they didn't think he belonged there. And I mean, it was like it was so cool to see that, and he was menacing, and he was threatening,
and creepy,
you know,
it was so good.
So it was tremendous. So last week, as we were deciding to film this, right at the end of, was that our Boba Fett episode?
It was at the end of our Boba Fett,
and we were talking about this. I forget what it was that you said, and I wrote a little sentence down here on the paper that I found, and because the setup for the one-liner was great, but it never came today, and that was this question of, can Batman beat Chuck Norris? And I don't know why I had that written down
because,
here. What was the?
So that was part of my rant last week about Batman's character being a Mary Sue.
Oh, gotcha.
Which I could make a lot of people mad about, but I'll explain it briefly real quick. In recent years, Batman has become very overpowered in the comics.
Okay.
And I first started to notice it in the Nolan era, in the Christian Bale era, where it was a resurgence of Batman popularity.
Okay.
The comics were coming out again. You had the TV show in the 90s. You had the Justice League TV shows in the early 2000s that were kids' shows where Batman wasn't as much of the main character as he was the side character who always had the answers.
Gotcha.
Because it was a team show.
Sure.
It was about the Justice League. So you had this resurgence of Batman in team settings where everyone treated him with this high level of respect because it was like, he's Batman. Like, he's always got the answers. He's always got a gadget. He's always, he can beat anyone with prep time, became the go-to answer to why Batman would win in a fight.
Gotcha.
And it was a very bare bones take on the character that grew to the point where even the writers were using it as a cop-out when they didn't want to explain how a conflict would be resolved. I can point to, I don't know which specific comic it was in, but there was a comic book where a bunch of superheroes, and there's a lot of young ones like the Teen Titans and that type, that demographic, and they're talking about a nuclear engine or reactor on their satellite spaceship.
Okay.
And they're mentioning how someone needs to go in there and grab a certain piece or fix a certain piece. And they're talking about how a normal human would be dead within 40 seconds. And they're like, so we're sending Batman.
Not Superman.
Not Superman.
Not Superman.
Not Wonder Woman. Not Flash. Batman. And all the kids are like, wait, Batman? He doesn't have any powers. And then one turns to the other and says, yeah, but he's Batman. It's like, even the writers are getting lazy at this
Gotcha.
point and not fighting it. And only recently have they realized that, and I think it came with a lack of sales, that version of Batman is losing popularity.
Gotcha.
Because it's not interesting. It's
No,
not interesting for Batman to always be in the right. He was always right for not killing the Joker. He was always right for not doing this. He was always right for, even when he went against the Justice League and the Justice League was like, you're putting people at risk, he always was proven right in the end. And he never faced a lot of like serious consequences. It wasn't until they introduced Damian Wayne, his son, as the new Robin, where they started to reset Batman, do a soft reboot, and give him something to really care about, and really start to build a new mythos around with the Bat family and how his actions affect others. And there's been 4 Robins, Batgirl, Batwoman.
Bat family.
That's what they're called.
Okay.
That's what they're called.
Oh.
There's so many people, that they really started to reset.
Gotcha.
And the joke about Batman can beat
Anybody
with prep time is probably
That's
the setup
probably
for
what that was.
for
So
your
for
for
mine,
your
just Batman beat Chuck Norris. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Does Batman beat Chuck Norris? Yeah. How much prep time does he get?
Gotcha. So, Robert Pattinson's The Batman, definitely a movie worth going and seeing.
Definitely a movie worth going and
what
seeing.
What do you think of it? Did you see the movie?
Have you seen it? How does he compare to the other Batman? Like, how does he compare? I want to know what people think. Like, where does he rank? I think, personally, he's got the best Batman to Bruce Wayne